The Kreen execution chamber was cold, silent, and made of black stone. The air felt heavy, almost like it was watching. In the center of the large room stood a human. His name was Commander Jace Rowan. His hands were tied behind his back with glowing energy cuffs. His face was bruised. His lips were dry. Blood dripped from a cut over his eyebrow. He stood tall anyway, proud, refusing to kneel. His eyes stared forward at the group of aliens who would soon kill him. Around him, thousands of Kreen citizens watched from tall glass towers. The execution was being broadcast to every screen across 10 star systems. The death of the last human commander was a celebration for the Kreen Empire. They had finally ended the human rebellion. Or so they believed. At the front of the chamber stood General Vor, the alien who hated humans more than anyone in the galaxy. He was tall and armored, with purple skin and sharp black eyes. His long claws tapped against the arm of his throne. He stared at Jace like he was a bug. "This is the last of them," Vor said loudly. The great Commander Jace Rowan, the ghost of Earth, the butcher of Terran V. Lies, all of it. Jace had never killed civilians. He had never ordered a massacre. The truth didn't matter now. He was a symbol of resistance, and the Kreen wanted symbols destroyed. "You will now answer for your crimes," Vor growled. He raised a hand. The crowd began to cheer. Jace didn't flinch. He looked up, straight into the camera. "If any humans out there can hear me," he said slowly, his voice strong, "don't give up. They may break our bones. They may burn our homes, but they will never own our spirit." An alien soldier hit him hard across the jaw. Jace's head jerked sideways, but he kept smiling. "Begin the execution," Vor ordered. 2 armored Kreen guards walked toward Jace. One held a long silver blade, humming with strange alien energy. The other stood ready to hold him still. Jace didn't resist. He knew there was no escape. His last mission had failed. He had been captured on the ice moons of Kairos, betrayed by someone close. Since then, he had been beaten, starved, and dragged across space for this very moment. The crowd fell silent. The blade was raised high. Jace closed his eyes. The blade came down, straight through his heart. Blood sprayed across the stone floor. Jace's body jerked, then went limp. His head dropped forward. His legs gave way. The guards stepped back. The energy cuffs disappeared. His body hit the ground, and he was dead. The crowd exploded with cheers. General Vor stood. "Let this be a lesson to all who would rise against the Kreen. We are eternal. Resistance is..." But before he could finish, the cameras cut off. The broadcast ended. The body was still warm. 30 minutes later, inside the cold storage room of the warship Bloodlight, the body of Jace Rowan lay still on a steel table. No guards were present. The Kreen believed he was dead. Why waste security on a corpse? The room was dark. Only a single blue light glowed above. Then, something moved. Jace's finger twitched. His eyes opened, but they weren't the same as before. His pupils glowed faint blue. His skin looked pale but strong. He sat up slowly, gasping silently, no breath, yet somehow aware. He looked around, confused. He touched his chest. There was a hole. The blade had gone clean through his heart. But there was no heartbeat. And still, he was awake. He slid off the table, barefoot and unsteady. The floor was cold. He stumbled to a corner where a reflective metal panel showed his face. He looked different. His eyes were sharper. His skin was healing fast. What happened? He whispered. Then it hit him. Project Revenant. He remembered briefings. A secret experiment. Human science mixed with recovered alien tech. They had once tried to create a backup plan, something to bring back a soldier even after death. He was the test subject. The only one. And now, it had worked. But something was wrong. He didn't feel normal. His muscles moved faster. His senses were stronger. He could hear the hum of the ship's engine through the walls. He could smell the blood on his own shirt. He could see through the dark. And deep inside, there was something else. Something cold. Suddenly, a noise. Footsteps. Jace moved quickly, hiding behind a metal crate. 2 Kreen soldiers entered the room, chatting in their language. "They'll burn the body in an hour," one said. "Strange, isn't it? No humans left." "The war's really over," the other laughed. "Let them rot." They were weak. Jace's fists clenched. Something inside him whispered. Now, he moved like lightning. Before the first soldier could turn, Jace was behind him, snapping his neck. The second raised a weapon, but too late. Jace slammed into him, breaking bones with a single strike. The alien crumpled. Jace stood over the bodies, breathing heavily. No, not breathing, just existing. He looked at his hands. He was faster, stronger, more than human, but still him, for now. He grabbed a uniform and slipped into the shadows. Elsewhere, General Vor sat in his command room, watching stars pass through the warship's front glass. An officer entered. "Sir, the body is missing." Vor turned slowly. "What did you say?" "The human commander's corpse. It's not in storage. The guards, we found them dead." Vor's eyes narrowed. "No." He slammed his fist on the console. "Sound the alarm." Jace was already moving through the lower decks. Every system failed to detect him. Cameras didn't see him. Scanners ignored him. Even biometric locks opened at his touch. He didn't know how. But part of him understood. He wasn't just human anymore. He reached a data port and plugged in a stolen chip. Maps flashed on the screen. He saw the layout of the Bloodlight warship. He saw where Vor's quarters were. He saw the launch bays, the communication towers. And then he saw something else. A lab. Project Revenant files, still here, still active. The aliens had taken human tech and tried to copy it. And if they succeeded, they could create undead armies. Jay stared at the screen. "I have to end this." He moved fast now. Every step was quiet. Every corner was calculated. His old training came back, but now mixed with instincts he never had before. He could sense patrols before they turned the corner. He could feel vibrations in the floor when ships moved. He was death-walking. He reached the lab. It was guarded. He didn't stop. In a flash, the guards were down. He entered. The lab was filled with human equipment stolen from Earth bases. Screens showed data. Files labeled Subject R1, Jace Rowan. Images of his organs, his brain, his memories. They had studied him, cloned parts of him. He found one clone tank. A half-formed copy of himself floated inside. Dead. He clenched his fists. They had played God. He placed charges across the lab, stolen from a weapons locker earlier. As he prepared to leave, a voice came from behind. "I knew it worked." Jace turned. General Vor stood in the doorway, weapon raised. "You're not human anymore," Vor said. "You're a ghost, a freak." Jace didn't answer. "You should have stayed dead," Vor growled. "I did," Jace replied. "Now I'm something worse for you." He pressed the detonator. Boom. The lab exploded behind him as he launched forward, tackling Vor. They crashed into the hallway, trading blows. Vor was strong, but Jace was stronger now. Faster. Colder. The fight was brutal. Silent except for fists and bones breaking. In the end, Vor lay broken on the floor. Jace stood over him. "You're afraid," Jace said. "No," Vor gasped. "Yes," Jace replied. "Because I'm not the last. Humanity is never finished." He left him there and vanished into the smoke. Back on Earth, in a hidden bunker, a radio sparked to life. A human rebel picked up the signal. It was short, scrambled, but the voice was clear. "This is Commander Jace Rowan. I am alive. And I'm coming home." Jace Rowan ran through the dark corridors of the Kreen warship, Bloodlight. The alarms had stopped. The ship had gone silent. But he knew they were hunting him now. He had destroyed their secret lab. He had left General Vor broken. And he had proven one terrifying truth to the galaxy. The last human commander was still alive. But how? He didn't fully understand it himself. All he knew was this: he had died, and now he wasn't the same man anymore. The narrow hallway curved downward, lit only by dull green lights on the walls. His bare feet made no sound. He didn't need shoes. His body was warm, even in the freezing temperature of the ship's lower decks. He reached a maintenance tunnel and crawled inside. It smelled of old fuel and metal dust. Above him, he could hear alien voices shouting. Jace closed his eyes for a moment. Flashes came back. Not memories, visions, needles, machines, white lights, screaming. A voice deep and calm, echoing in his skull. Project Revenant will bring back what death takes away. He remembered Earth's last attempt at survival. After too many defeats, human scientists had unlocked something strange in energy hidden inside alien tech. The Kreen called it void thread. It was not natural. It lived in the space between matter and spirit. Somehow it could bind a soul to a body, even after death. The project had one test subject, JACE. And now it had worked. He was alive, but his heart didn't beat. He could think, feel, but didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't bleed. He had become something else. Suddenly, he heard metal creak behind him. He spun fast. A tall shadow stood at the tunnel's edge. Another Kreen soldier? No, its armor was wrong, its body thin. Its face hidden behind a cracked helmet. The figure tilted. Its head, Jace Rowan? The voice asked in a mechanical whisper. Jace stayed silent. The figure reached up, removed the helmet. It was not Kreen. It was human. A woman. Mid-30s with short black hair and eyes sharp as glass. "My name is Lieutenant Mara Cade," she said. "Earth Resistance. I've been tracking your body since your execution." Jace narrowed his eyes. "Tracking me? Why?" "Because you were supposed to stay dead," she said. "And now everything's changed." They hid inside a broken cargo chamber. Mara handed him food. He didn't eat it. She noticed. "You're not hungry?" "I don't eat anymore," Jace said. Mara nodded slowly. So the stories were true. What stories? She reached into her bag, pulled out a small holographic cube. With a click, a projection floated in the air. An old recording. A lab on Earth. Scientists arguing. One of them, Dr. Emil Graff, stood in front of a machine pulsing with blue light. "We can bring him back," the scientist said, "even after death. But not as a man. He'll be something new, something unstoppable." The file cut out. Mara stared at Jace. "You're the only revenant," she whispered. "We tried with others, soldiers, volunteers. They all failed. Only you came back." "Why?" Jace asked. "No one knows," she said. "Maybe because you didn't fear death. Maybe because something chose you." Mara explained everything. After Earth lost the war, the last human bases scattered across distant moons. The Kreen destroyed most of them. A few escaped into deep space. They believed Jace was dead until a strange energy spike appeared after his execution. She followed that signal. It led her here. To him. "You're a symbol now," she said. "If we can get you out of this ship, it'll spark rebellion again. People believe you're a legend, but you're real." Jace didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "I don't feel real." Mara looked at him carefully. "Because you're scared?" "No," Jace replied. "Because I feel powerful." He looked at his hands. They trembled. "I don't sleep. I don't breathe. But I can see in the dark. I can sense heat. I can hear voices through walls." "What else?" she asked. He looked up. "Sometimes I hear whispers from the void." They moved through the ship together, careful and silent. Jace avoided every patrol. His senses warned him before enemies got close. His body healed from cuts in seconds. They reached the edge of the engine room. Jace stopped. His hands began to glow faintly. "I feel it," he said. "The energy?" Mara asked. "Yes, the same thing that brought me back. It's here." He followed, the feeling deeper into the core. They entered a sealed lab hidden near the reactor. Inside, a strange machine floated spinning slowly, surrounded by glowing symbols. Jace stepped closer. The energy pulsed like a heartbeat. "This is void tech," Mara said. "Kreen stole parts of it from Earth's labs, but they never got it working." "It's alive," Jace whispered. Suddenly, he felt pain in his head. Sharp, electric images flashed him. On a battlefield, explosions, screams, a woman's face. A little girl. Then a deep, cold voice. "You were chosen for more than war." He fell to his knees. Mara knelt beside him. "Jace!" He gasped. "I'm fine," he said. "It's the tech. It remembers." "What does that mean?" "I think it's not just a machine. I think it has a mind." Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut. Red lights blinked. Gas hissed from vents. "It's a trap!" Mara shouted. Jace stood fast. His skin began to glow faintly. The gas had no effect on him. He grabbed Mara and slammed his fist into the wall, breaking through metal like paper. They escaped. Alarms ringing. "They're bringing in the elite guard," Mara warned. "Let them." "Come," Jay said coldly. They reached the hangar. Two small fighters sat idle, but a squad of armored Kreen soldiers blocked the way. One stepped forward, taller than the rest. His armor black, face hidden. This was Executor Krenix, head of alien security. A killer of 10,000 humans. "You should have stayed dead," Krenix growled. Jace stepped forward. "You first." Krenix rushed at him. Jace met him head on. The two crashed like meteors. Krenix was strong, fast, but Jace was faster. They fought, hand to hand, smashing walls, sending shockwaves through the hangar. Mara fired at the other guards. Buying time, Krenix roared. "You're not human." Jace grabbed his throat. "No," he said. "I'm something worse." And snapped his neck. Silence. The other soldiers backed away. Jace didn't chase them. He looked at Mara. "Let's go." They entered the fighter. Jace sat in the pilot seat. "Can you fly this thing?" she asked. "No." He touched the controls. The ship hummed to life. "I don't need to," he said. "It listens to me." The ship blasted out of the hangar and into deep space. A day later, on a hidden moon base far from Kreen eyes, a group of tired rebels stood in silence. Then the small fighter landed. The ramp opened. Jace walked out, silent and calm. Mara followed behind. Gasps filled the air. One man dropped his rifle. "It's him," he whispered. Another fell to his knees. "The Revenant." Jace looked at them. "I'm not your savior," he said. "I'm your soldier." Later, in a private room, Mara handed him a data pad. On it files from Project Revenant. He read in silence. Then one line stood out. "Subject R1 shows signs of merging with void energy. Recommend destruction before corruption occurs." He closed the file. "Unchanging," he said. Mara nodded. "Will it help us win?" He looked into the stars. "I don't know, but I won't stop now." She put a hand on his shoulder. "We need to prepare. Kreen will come. They'll call you a monster, a weapon." He nodded. "Let them." Jace Rowan sat alone in the corner of the rebel ship, staring at his hands. He had not slept in 2 days. Because he couldn't sleep. He didn't breathe. He didn't feel tired. His body looked human. His face looked the same, but inside, something else had taken root. He was still Jace, but also more. And that more scared him. Outside, the stars moved slowly as the stolen fighter ship floated near the edge of the Kreen war zone. The rebels had found a small asteroid belt to hide in. But time was running out. Inside the ship, Lieutenant Mara Cade worked quickly on the console, running scans and tracking energy signals. She turned to Jace. "They found us." Jace didn't move. "How many?" "2 destroyers. Kreen Elite. Fleet, and 1 carrier ship. They're closing in fast." Jace stood up. "Then we fight." Mara shook her head. "No, you don't understand. We can't outfly them. And this ship has no weapons. We stole a scout vessel, not a warship. We can't run." She sighed. "We can try, but they'll catch us in 10 minutes. Maybe less." Jace looked at the data screen. It showed 3 red dots, all moving straight toward their location. "We have one option," Mara said. "It's insane." "Good," Jace said. "Insanity is all we have left." Mara opened a side panel on the ship and pulled out an old blueprint. "This asteroid belt hides something," she explained. "An old Kreen prison station shut down years ago. No power. No crew. Floating in the dark." Jace raised an eyebrow. "And? If we can reach it, we might be able to power it up, trick the Kreen ships into locking onto that signal instead of ours. Then we escape under the cover of their attack on an empty station." She nodded. "Exactly. Insane," he agreed. "Let's do it." The fighter moved fast, weaving between massive rocks and debris. Old ship wreckage floated silently through space. Some of it was human. Most of it was not. The station came. Into view, a large circular prison platform, black and dead, spinning slowly near the edge of the belt dot. It looked like a giant cage in space dot as they approached. The fighter's systems began to fail. Mara cursed. "EMP field. That's why no one goes near this place. Kreen tech shuts down anything nearby." "We'll have to go in manually," Jace said. "You mean Eva?" she asked. He nodded. Mara groaned. "I hate spacewalks." Jace looked at her. "You'll be fine. I'll go first." They suited up in light armor and stepped into the airlock. As the door hissed open, silence filled their ears. Total vacuum. Mara's breathing was fast in the helmet. Jace didn't breathe at all. They floated toward the dark station using small booster jets. Every step forward felt like falling into a black hole. They reached the outer ring of the station and found a maintenance hatch. Jace used his enhanced strength to twist it open. Inside, the corridor was dark, cold, and full of floating dust. They climbed in. Once inside, Jace activated his internal HUD in effect of the Revenant tech. His eyes glowed faintly blue, showing him the layout in his mind. "This way," he said. They passed through old cells, cracked windows, broken control panels. Mara looked around. "This place gives me chills." "Then stay close." Jace reached the central reactor room. It was dead. He placed his hand on the control console. Suddenly, the tech lit up, glowing in blue light. "What did you do?" Mara asked. "I don't know. It responded to me. Just like the Kreen fighter." He wasn't sure how. But he could feel machines now, like they were part of him. The reactor came online. Outside, lights on the station began to flash. Life support reactivated. Power flowed again. The dead prison had woken up. Back on the Kreen destroyer, alarms blared. The commander, a tall silver-skinned alien named Threxon, stood at the center of the bridge. "We have a new signal," his officer said. "What kind?" "Old Kreen prison station, unknown activation source." "Is the human ship nearby?" "No, we lost them in the asteroid field." Threxon narrowed his eyes. "Prepare to strike. They may be hiding inside that station." "Inside the prison." Mara checked the console. "They're scanning the station." "Your plan worked." "It's not over yet," Jace said. "We need to move." Suddenly, the lights went red. Another signal close. Too close. Mara stared at the screen. "No, that's not Kreen. What is it?" "It's something else. Something waking up." The station shook. A loud metal scream echoed through the walls. Jace pulled Mara behind him. From the dark halls ahead, movement stirred. A shape crawled from the shadows, tall, thin, armored in black metal. Its eyes were hollow. Its mouth stitched. Shut. It was not alive, and not fully dead. Mara gasped. Void Spawn. Jace remembered the name. Creatures created by Void Tech experiments. Used in early wars, but banned by all species. This station had been a testing ground. And something had survived. The creature moved fast. Jace pushed Mara away and met it head on. They fought in the dark, metal crashing against flesh. The creature's claws ripped at him, but he didn't bleed. Jace punched it through a wall. 2 more appeared. Mara fired her blaster. 1 dropped. The other tackled her, but Jace tore it off before it could kill her. Time to go, she shouted. They ran through the prison halls, chased by whispers, screams, and shadows. Jace sealed the doors behind them, locking the horrors. Inside, they reached the outer hatch again. The Kreen destroyers were moving in. Jace yelled. They jumped. In space. They floated as the fighter ship autopiloted to them. JSE guided Mara to the cockpit. They climbed in just as the station lit up with red target lasers. The Kreen ships fired. Missiles hit the prison station. Explosions lit up the asteroid belt. Hold on, Jace shouted. He turned the fighter behind a large asteroid. Just as shockwaves rocked the area, the Kreen believed they had destroyed the human ship, but Jace and Mara slipped away. 2 hours later, they landed on a hidden rebel base carved into an ice moon. Rebels gathered around as the ship powered down. 1 scout saluted. We saw the station explode. We thought you were dead again. Jace stepped out. Almost, he said. Mara smiled. But not quite. In the war room, Jace stood before a hologram of the Kreen fleet. They're coming in full force now. Mara said, you humiliated them. They want revenge. Jace nodded. Let them come. But how do we win? She asked. We're outnumbered, outgunned. He looked at her. We don't need more guns, he said. We need fear. We need the Kreen to believe. Death is not the end for humans. She looked down. You mean more revenants? Jace shook his head. No, just me, Mara frowned. You can't fight the whole empire alone. He stared into the stars. I'm not fighting alone, he said. She followed his gaze. On the ice moon, dozens of rebel ships were being reactivated. Fighters, bombers, old human war tech, once buried now rising. A storm was coming, and Jace Rowan was the eye of it. The galaxy changed the moment Jace Rowan returned from the dead. In dark corners of space, whispers started. He died, but stood up again. He cannot be killed. He's not human anymore. And the Kreen Empire was afraid. General Vor lay still in a recovery chamber on the flagship Wraithstorm. His body had not healed since the fight. His bones remained broken. His pride shattered. He watched news feeds from across the systems. Human symbols were appearing again. Old resistance flags painted on walls. Rebellion messages broadcast in hidden signals. Everywhere his empire turned, they saw shadows, and all of them pointed to one man. Jace Rowan. Ver's claws gripped the edge of the bed. This ends now. 3 days later, a message echoed across the stars, broadcast in every Kreen language. A high bounty, 10 million credits for the capture or destruction of Jace Rowan. Dead or alive. Wanted posters showed his face, serious eyes, sharp jaw glowing faintly blue. Some aliens laughed. Just one man? They said. Then they tried to find him, and they never came back. Jace moved from world to world, system to system. He didn't hide. He hunted. He found old rebel outposts, forgotten war veterans, damaged warbits, and gave them purpose again. Mara. Cade traveled with him, gathering fighters, supplies, and trust. Together, they lit small flames of resistance across 5 sectors. On the frozen mining planet of Trelos, a Kreen patrol entered an abandoned factory. They had received a tip. Human. Commander spotted, their scanner said. They moved carefully. Snow crunched under their boots. Their rifles glowed with energy. Suddenly, one by one, their comms went silent. The last soldier turned around and saw blue glowing eyes in the dark. No, then silence. Later, only one thing was found. A message burned into the factory wall. Revenants don't run. On the trading moon Volcara, a group of bounty hunters cornered a human woman wearing a cloak. They thought it was Jace's companion. They were right. Mara stood still as the hunters surrounded her. Where's your ghost leader now? One sneered. She smiled. Behind you. They turned. Jace dropped from the ceiling like a shadow. His strikes were brutal, efficient. Within seconds, 5 hunters lay unconscious or worse. The 6th begged for mercy. Jace leaned close. Tell them, he said. Tell the Kreen what happens when they chase ghosts. The man ran. In the shadows of deep space, rebels shared stories. One child on a refugee ship whispered to her brother, Jace Rowan walks through fire and doesn't burn. Another old pilot told new recruits, he was dead. I saw the footage. Now he fights like death itself. And across the stars, more humans joined the cause. But not all believed. In the war room of Council Planet Tharun, Kreen commanders gathered. This is foolish, said one admiral. He is just a man. Send an army. End this. General Vor stood at the center, supported by metal braces on his legs. He is not a man anymore, Vor said. He is a symbol. Symbols are harder to kill. He pointed at the screen, a planet Carthus V, where a weapons facility had been destroyed hours ago. Jace's mark was left on the walls. Again. Double quotes. Deploy the hunters. Vor ordered. The room fell silent. Someone whispered, even the hunters. Fear him, then let them fear, Vor growled. But they will obey. The hunters were elite alien assassins, not Kreen. Not loyal. Only paid. They tracked energy signatures. Scent trails. Bio-pulse. They had never failed a contract, until now, on the shadow world of Navarus. The hunters dropped in silently. They followed Jace's trail into old tunnels, abandoned labs, and dead cities. They used heat sensors, motion radar, mind scent sniffers. They found nothing. Then one by one, they vanished. No sounds. No warnings. Just silence. The last hunter tried to escape the planet. As his ship powered up, he felt a cold hand on his neck. Jac, he spoke calmly. Stop hunting ghosts. The ship exploded in orbit. Wreckage rained across the upper sky. And again. Only a message was left. I'm not running. I'm waiting. Meanwhile, Mara activated the old human signal relay on Station Echo 9. A broadcast went out to every human hidden cell. Jace Rowan lives. The Revenant rises. Join the fight. Ships responded. Signals returned. And slowly, the resistance grew. 1. Night on the ice fields of Cyraloon. Jace stood alone. Snow fell gently. He stared into the white sky. Mara walked up beside him. You okay? I'm not sure. You're winning. He shook his head. No, I'm inspiring. That's more dangerous. She frowned. Why? He looked at his hand, energy pulsing under the skin. Because I don't know what I'm becoming. Later. That night, he dreamed or something like it. He saw the void again. A black ocean with stars above and voices below. A shape rose from the dark. Not human, not alien. Something ancient. It spoke inside his mind. You walk between death and life. You are ours now. Jace woke up cold. Mara looked at him. Another vision? He nodded. Are they getting worse? Yes. Are you scared? No, I'm angry. Back on Kreen capital, panic was rising. Rebel attacks had tripled. Supply lines cut. 2 generals assassinated. Morale crumbling. And everywhere, the Mark of Jace Rowan. Burned, carved, painted. The Revenant lives. General Vor held a private meeting with the Emperor. My armies are useless, Vor admitted. He breaks them before battle. The Emperor's voice was calm but cold. Then burn the sky, glass the planets. Make the humans see what terror truly means. Vor hesitated. The Emperor stood. You fear him too? Vor whispered. Yes. On the edge of human-controlled space, Jace met with the Rebel Council. Maps glowed around them. Systems marked for uprising. Jace pointed to one. Strike here. They won't expect it. One commander said, You're becoming like them. Cold. Ruthless. Jace looked at him. I'm not here to win honor. I'm here to win. Mara watched him that night. Alone in the ship. She typed a note in her journal. He is still Jace, but he changes every day. The void speaks to him. He hides it well, but I can see it in his eyes. What happens when the war ends? Will we still know him? Will he still be human? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, more bounty hunters tried their luck. Most never made it close. Those who did wish they hadn't. One mercenary, half melted, survived just long enough to speak. They said. He bled light. Back in a hidden rebel forge, engineers worked on something new. Void-resistant armor. Revenant-proof weapons. All built around Jace's data. A new war was coming. And this time, the humans would not be the prey. Part 4 ends with Jace stood at the edge of a cliff, watching the sky burn with fire from a destroyed Kreen outpost. Mara stepped beside him. They called you a ghost. He nodded. Now they call me a nightmare. She said nothing. He turned to her. I'm not done. I know, she replied. And I don't care what I become, as long as it ends them. Then, far above, a massive ship entered orbit. Kreen flagship, the one he escaped from, the one where he died. It was back, and they were calling him home. Jace Rowan stood silently on the hilltop of Alaros V, a gray planet lost in dust storms and dead cities. Below him, an old human research facility lay half buried under sand. It was once called Site Echo 1. Long before the war, it was the place where Project Revenant had begun. Now, it was forgotten, but Jace had returned. To find the truth. Mara Cade climbed up beside him, wind whipping her jacket. You're sure this is the place? She asked. Yes, Jace replied. She looked down at the ruins. This is where they made you? He didn't answer, because deep inside, he wasn't sure if they had made him or unleashed him. The two entered through a cracked steel doorway, pushing aside rusted metal and debris. The air inside was stale. Lights flickered. Power was weak. Old screens lined the walls, still blinking with static. Broken chairs. Bloodstains. Frozen memories. Jace walked like he had been here before. Because maybe, in a way, he had. They reached the central lab. Mara activated a terminal. Dust flew into the air as the system came online. Accessing logs. She said, Give me a moment. Jace stood before a tank and empty glass chamber with faded, blue fluid dried on its walls. There were handprints inside it. His handprints. The logs started, playing. Old video footage. Human scientists in lab coats. Jace recognized one face. Dr. Emil Grath, the lead scientist. Grath spoke directly to the camera. Day 201. Subject R1 shows full nervous system link with void thread. First subject to survive reactivation after clinical death. Another file opened. Day 214. Side effects increasing nightmares, emotional swings, enhanced reflexes, but memory remains intact. Subject stable for now. More logs. Day 250. Subject spoke in a voice not his own. Mentioned events no one in the lab had ever discussed. Memory? Or something else? Jace stared. He remembered none of it. Then one final log appeared. Marked Top Secret, Emergency File. Mara hesitated. You sure you want to see this? I have to. She clicked. Dr. Grath appeared, pale and sweating. They lied to us. Project Revenant was never about saving soldiers. It was about contact. Void thread is not just energy, it's alive. We thought we were using it, but it was using him. The screen shook. Alarms sounded in the background. Grath screamed, Jace Rowan is not just a man, he's a door. Then the file ended. Silence. Jace stepped back. I'm a door, he repeated. To what? Mara asked. Jace didn't answer, because he already knew. That night, while Mara slept near the main console, Jace walked outside alone. The sky was black, full of silent stars. He sat on the sand and closed his eyes, and entered the void. It felt like falling and floating at the same time. Darkness surrounded him. But it wasn't empty. He could hear whispers. Some in alien tongues, some in human voices. One voice came clearer than the rest. A woman's voice. Jace. You were never supposed to return. He turned. A shape formed, human. But not. Her face was kind, familiar. Who are you? He asked. I am the memory of what came before, she said. Before humans, before Kreen. Before time. He stared at her. You're from the void. I am the void, and so are you. She showed him images of stars being born and swallowed, of ancient beings, long before life existed. Beings made of thought and energy, some curious, some cruel. One of them had broken into real space long ago and left behind a thread of itself. Void. Thread. Humans found it by accident. And when they mixed it with a dying soldier. It woke up. You were the first, the being said. The first who didn't break, the first who listened. Jace looked down at his hands. I didn't listen, I fought, she smiled. That's why you're still human. Suddenly, the scene changed. He saw Earth burning, Kreen warships in orbit. He saw himself standing over fallen enemies, leading armies. Then, something darker. He saw himself glowing blue, rising above cities, speaking in a voice that was not his. A god. A monster. The line was thin. You're scared, the void being said. I'm not scared of dying, Jace. Whispered. I'm scared of becoming something else. Then remember what you are, she said. He opened his eyes, back on the sand. Mara stood nearby, watching. You left again, she said quietly. I had to, he replied. She frowned. Did you learn the truth? He nodded. Yes, and it's worse than I thought. Inside the lab, they downloaded all remaining files. Project Revenant had never been a cure. It was a key. And Jace was the lock. As they prepared to leave, Mara spoke up. What if they try again? Use your blood, your tech make more revenants? Jace replied, then we destroy every trace of this place. He walked to the core of the facility and overloaded the main reactor. We can't let them open that door, he said. Not again. They escaped in their ship just as the entire base exploded, sending shockwaves across the barren land far away. Kreen satellites picked up the explosion. General Vor watched the report. Find out what he was doing there, he ordered. His officers looked nervous. What if he wasn't trying to win the war? Vor's eyes narrowed. What if he was trying to stop something worse? Back at the rebel fleet, Jace sat alone. His hands trembled slightly. Mara entered. We fight, he said, even. After what you saw? Yes, he replied. Because now I understand what's at stake, she nodded. We fight too, she said. With you. He looked at her, grateful, then turned to the stars and whispered, I'm not a weapon. I'm a warning. The stars were no longer silent. Ships moved like sharks in the dark, thousands of them. A great shadow crossed the galaxy. The Kreen Empire had launched its final attack. It was not a warning. It was a message. There will be no more second chances. And Jace Rowan was their target. On the icy moon Varela, where the rebel fleet was hidden, warning sirens screamed. Mara Cade looked at the screen in horror. A massive crane armada had jumped into the system. Not just one ship, not 10, 55 warships, 3 carriers, 5 destroyers, and the flagship Wraithstorm. With General Vor on board, they found us, she whispered. JACE stood behind her, calm as stone. Good, he said. Let them come. The rebel council argued in panic. We need to run. We can't fight that many. This is suicide. Jace raised his voice. They won't stop after us. Even if we run, they'll hunt every human system. He stepped forward. We fight, not just to survive, but to show them that we will never bow again. Silence fell. Then one commander stood. I follow the Revenant. Another stood. Me too. And one by one, the others followed. The rebel fleet launched into the sky. Old warships, rusted guns, outdated fighters. But this time, they had something the Kreen did not. Jace Rowan. He entered the lead ship, the Starblade, a repurposed human dreadnought. As he stepped on the bridge, the lights flickered blue. The ship responded to him. It recognized him. Mara smiled. Every time you touch tech, it wakes up like it remembers you. Jace nodded. Because I'm not just Jace anymore. The Kreen ships began their descent on Varela. General Vor stood at the front of Wraithstorm's bridge, watching coldly. Crush them, he ordered. No survivors. His second-in-command hesitated. What if Rowan dies today? Vor growled. By my hand. The battle began. Space exploded with light and fire. Rebel ships weaved through Kreen formations, dodging lasers, returning fire with everything they had. Jace stood calmly, giving orders with perfect clarity. Target their engines. Leave them blind. Split into 3 wings. Lure them between the moons. He saw the battle like a puzzle, like music. And everywhere he pointed, Kreen ships fell. But the numbers were too great. Rebel ships began to explode. Fighters vanished in flames. On the Starblade, damage crews worked nonstop. Mara shouted from her station, "We can't hold forever." Jace walked to the core reactor room. Alone. He placed his hand on the reactor crystal. It glowed blue. And then, brighter. Across the ship, systems surged with power. Weapons recharged instantly. Shields reformed. The Starblade roared like a beast. Awakened. Back on Wraithstorm, Vor noticed. One ship is pushing back 10 of ours, his officer said. It's not possible. Vor's eyes narrowed. It's him. Boost all firepower on the Starblade. Jace felt the energy burning in his veins. He wasn't just commanding the ship. He was the ship. The void threat inside him had sensed completely. He could feel every bolt, every sensor, every cannon. He saw the battlefield through machine eyes. He spoke through the intercom, voice calm but inhuman. We don't retreat. We don't surrender. We rise. Rebel ships regrouped around the Starblade. A new wave of fighters launched. Mara joined the front line in a small strike ship. Her voice rang through comms. Let's burn the stars. Then, a surprise. From behind a moon, 3 more rebel ships appeared. Not old. New. Modified with void energy tech, secretly built in the last few weeks. Pilots who believed in the Revenant. They joined the fight, cutting through Kreen ranks. The tide began to turn, but General Vor wasn't done. He ordered the release of a secret weapon, Project Silence. It was a dark cannon, built to shut down all tech within range, using an anti-void pulse. It was designed using stolen data from Project Revenant itself. It had one purpose: kill Jace Rowan. As the cannon charged, Jace felt it, a pain in his skull, like something tearing his soul apart. Mara screamed through comms, "Jace, are you okay?" He fell to his knees inside the reactor room. His energy flickered. Systems on the Starblade blinked. Reactor slowed. The void pulled back. He heard the same voice again. "They want to unmake you." But Jace remembered the void being's words. "You walk between death and life. You are ours now. He stood. He screamed, and the reactor burst into light. The void surged back. Stronger. The anti-void cannon melted in place, its circuits fried. A shockwave ripped through space. Reen ships lost power. Some drifted helplessly, others exploded. On Wraithstorm, panic erupted. Sir, something's wrong. He absorbed the pulse. No, he turned it around. General Vor stepped back, his claws shaking. What? Is he? The Starblade floated forward, silent and glowing. Jace's voice echoed across all comes rebel and enemy alike. You tried to erase me, but I was never yours to destroy. This war ends when you stop pretending you own the stars. Rebel ships pushed the attack. Dozens of Kreen ships fled. The rest were captured or destroyed. The Empire's grip on the system broke. The battle was over. But the war was not. After the fight, Mara entered the bridge of the Starblade. Jace stood alone, looking out at the wreckage. She touched his arm. You did it. He shook his head. We did it. She smiled. But what now? Jace turned to her. They'll return, with more. Then what do we do? We keep going, he said. We find every system, every survivor, every fighter with fire left in their heart, and we show them one truth. What truth? He looked her in the eyes. That death is no longer their master. The galaxy had changed. After the destruction of the Kreen fleet on Varela's moon, rebel signals flashed like wildfire across the stars. New systems declared independence. Kreen supply routes collapsed. And everywhere, people whispered the same name. Jace Rowan. Inside the command center of the rebel ship Starblade, Mara Cade stood in front of a glowing map. Green lights spread across it, each one a human colony rising again. She smiled. We've started something big, she said. Jace stood beside her, arms crossed. We didn't start it, he replied. We just reminded them who they are. That same week, dozens of fighters arrived at Varela Base. Old soldiers, young volunteers, smugglers, miners, scientists. All of them wanted to fight, not just for freedom, but for the Revenant. Among them was a man named Commander Oren Slate. He had served in the original Earth Defense Corps and had vanished years ago. He stepped out of his ship, walked up to Jace, and saluted. I saw what you did, he said. Let me help build the army. Jace nodded. We need leaders. Within days, training began. Ships were repaired, weapons were upgraded, and something new began. Project Revenant Eco.JACE called for volunteers to test void threat enhancement on humans. Many stepped forward, but only a few survived. Those who did changed. They didn't become like Jace, but they were faster, stronger, harder to kill, eyes glowing faintly blue. Mara called them Echo Soldiers. Jace called them Revenants. They weren't UNDED. They weren't gods. They were soldiers who had touched the edge of death and returned stronger. Rebel forces across 6 systems began reporting victories. Kreen patrols vanished. Outposts surrendered without a fight. The Revenants had become legends, but legends always draw attention. Far away, in the ashes of the Empire, General Vor stood on a dark world. He was not alone. A secret Kreen science team had been working on something, a failed experiment, but now it had awakened. Inside a glass tank, a figure floated. Human body, dead eyes, blue veins glowing in the dark. The scientist looked nervous. He is stable, one said, but his mind, it's not like Jace Rowan. Vor walked up to the tank. What is his name? The lead scientist hesitated. We call him Ash 7. Back on Starblade, Jace walked through the new training facility. He passed lines of Revenant Echo Soldiers, all saluting. Their bodies had been tested, their minds trained. But Jace noticed something strange. A few of them looked at him differently. Almost cold, almost like they were studying him. Mara met him at the armory. Something's bothering you, she said. He nodded. They're stronger, But something's off. They're loyal. Jace stared ahead. Are they? That night, Jace went into a deep void trance. He sat in the center of the ship's core, eyes closed, letting the dark energy flow through him. He saw flashes of burning planets, broken stars. Then, a face, his own, but darker, eyes glowing red instead of blue dot, and behind that face, thousands of others, a shadow army. He woke up sweating. Mara stood nearby. You saw something, she said. I saw me, Jace whispered. But twisted. The next day, during a routine patrol near the asteroid fields, a distress call came through. A rebel ship, Echo Unit 9, had gone silent. Jace and Mara flew out in a scout craft to investigate. They found the ship floating, undamaged, but empty. No crew. No signs of battle. Just silence. Jace entered the ship and found a strange symbol scratched into the wall. Not human, not Kreen, a mix of both, and 3 words written in blood. He is awake. Back on base, news arrived. A Kreen outpost had been attacked, not by humans. By something else. Bodies torn apart. Systems disabled. 1 survivor was found. Shaking in terror, he said only 2 words before he died. Rowan. Multiplied. Mara and Jace studied the footage. The attacker looked like him. Same face, same eyes, but wrong. Too fast, too violent. No mercy. It wasn't Jace, but it was something made in his image. Commander Slate entered the room. We found something else, he said. In the outer rim systems, a lab, empty, burned. Inside it, they found records. Blueprints. Project Revenant, Alpha, Series. JACE. Read the file. Ash-7, Alpha 2, Omega 13. Failed. Clones. All made from DNA taken after his death, stolen before his body was recovered by the rebels. Mara looked at him. They copied you. Jace nodded slowly. And now one of them has survived. A plan was made. They had to find Ash-7 before he built his own army. But it was too late. In the outer zone of the Galther Belt, a mining colony went dark. No COMS. No power. No survivors. Only 1 video file remained. Ash-7 stood over a pile of dead Kreen soldiers. He looked into the camera and said, You rose for hope. I rise for order. You wanted freedom. I will give them control. You are the first revenant. I am the final. Back on Starblade, Jace stood in silence. He had faced armies. He had faced death. But this was different. This was personal. Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. He's coming for you. I know, Jace said, but he'll find me waiting. He called the Revenant army together. Hundreds of soldiers stood in formation, void energy humming under their skin. He looked at them, proud and cautious. You've been given power, he said, but that power comes with risk. You've seen what happens when it's twisted. You've seen what I could have become. He stepped forward. You are not weapons. You are protectors. You do not serve me. You serve something greater. Humanity. They saluted. And for the first time, the Revenant army spoke as one. We rise and we do not fall. The battle lines were being drawn. JACE ruin. The first Revenant. Ash-7, the broken reflection. One led by memory, the other by rage. And somewhere in the stars, they would collide. Space was quiet. Too quiet. A storm was coming, and everyone in the galaxy could feel it. Jace Rune stood on the bridge of the Starblade, staring at a distant system on the map. Sector 9K, Dead Zone, the place where Ash-7 was hiding. The place where the final battle would happen. Mara Cade entered quietly. Fleet's ready, she said. He didn't turn. Is anyone ever ready for a war like this? No, she answered. But they're willing. Jace turned to her. Thank you, he said softly. For everything, she smiled. I'm with you till the end. Across the rebel fleet, Hundreds of Revenant Echo soldiers prepared for war. Their eyes glowed blue. Their hearts were strong. But in each of them was a quiet fear, not of death, but of becoming like Ash-7. Meanwhile, far away, Ash-7 stood inside. Massive, abandoned alien fortress. He stared into a black mirror. Hundreds of his own soldiers stood behind him, twisted, corrupted revenants. He turned to them. Today, we end the lie. The lie of freedom. The lie of Jace Rowan. I am not a copy, he said coldly. I am the final version. The final message from Ash-7 reached the rebel fleet. It was short. One line. Come and die, brother. Jace didn't reply. He didn't need to. He simply said to his fleet, jump. Hundreds of ships entered the dead zone. Black clouds floated in space. Old wrecks. Floating bones of past wars. In the center. Ash-7's fortress, the final battlefield. Fighters launched. Missiles flew. Void weapons lit up the dark. The sky burned. Jace led the charge from the Starblade. Mara flew beside him in her sleek fighter. Calling out targets, Commander Orin led the Revenant Echo units through the side corridors of the fortress. Ash-7's forces were brutal. They moved fast. They didn't feel pain. But Jace's army had something stronger. Inside the fortress. Jace broke through a steel wall with his bare hands. Void energy danced across his arms. He marched alone through burning halls until he reached the core. Ash-7 was waiting. He stood tall. Eyes red, a smirk on his lips. Hello, Jace. Jace stopped. A few steps away. You're not me, he said. Ash-7 tilted his head. I am the better version. The perfect revenant. No, Jace replied. You're a shadow. And shadows always fade. Without another word, they attacked. The room exploded with blue and red light. Fists met fists. Void clashed with void. Each strike shook the walls. Ash-7 hit harder. Faster. But Jace was smarter. He remembered pain. He remembered fear. And that made him stronger. Ash-7 grabbed Jace by the throat. You're weak because you care. Jace choked but smiled. You're weak because you don't. With a blast of energy, Jace broke free and slammed Ash-7 through the wall. Outside, Mara and Orin led the rebel forces deeper into the fortress. Twisted revenants fought like demons. But the rebels held the line. Each step forward was bought with blood. But they didn't stop, because they knew what was at stake. Back inside, Ash-7 threw Jace across the chamber. He pointed. You had the power to rule them. I had the power to protect them. Jace shouted. Ash-7 raised his hand. A massive void blast shot forward. Jace blocked it with both arms. Energy screamed. The floor cracked. Then silence. Smoke filled the room. Ash-7 stepped forward. You're done, he said. Jace knelt. Bleeding. Weak. But smiling. Not yet. He placed his hand on the floor. Void lines pulsed through the metal. The fortress shook. Every rebel ship, every Revenant Echo. Every piece of tech powered by Jace's energy. Linked. Jace was calling all of it. Not to destroy, but to heal. Ash-7 froze. What are you doing? I'm not the final version, Jace whispered. I'm the first human who chose to be more and still stay human. Light burst from his body. A wave of energy exploded outward. It hit every revenant, human or clone. The twisted ones began to crack, then shattered into dust. The Echo soldiers stood still, but remained whole. Ash-7 screamed. No, I am perfect. You're broken, Jace said. Then, with one last punch glowing with all the void energy he had left, he struck Ash-7 in the chest. A flash of light, and Ash-7 fell. Dead. The battle ended. Rebel ships stopped firing. The fortress went dark. Across the stars, the signal went out. Ash-7 is destroyed. The Revenant lives. The war is over. Back on Starblade, Jace lay in the med-bay. Weak, Pale, but alive, Mara sat beside him, holding his hand. "You stopped it," she whispered. He nodded slowly. "For now." A week later, the Rebel Council met. Systems had joined together. A new alliance was forming. No more empire. No more clones. Just free people. Building something better. Jay stood before the council. He wore no armor. No glowing eyes. Just a tired man who gave everything. He spoke quietly. No more gods. No more ghosts. Just people. Protecting each other. They cheered. Later that night, Jay stood alone under the stars. Mara walked up beside him. "You ever think about what comes next?" He smiled. "I think we finally get to live." She nodded. "Together?" He looked at her. Always. Far away, deep in the quiet of the galaxy. Something watched. The void stirred, but it did not reach out, because this time it was afraid of what it had created. Jace. Rowan. The man who died, came back and changed everything. Not a god, not a monster, just human. The last revenant. The end.